right, welcome, a beautiful morning. My name is Rose Blossom and you're welcome to Women's Corner. Today is exciting because we're talking about something that, is one of the big problems we have, especially coming from the north, the northern part of Nigeria. But of course, let me first welcome you properly. You're welcome to Women's Corner. Here we talk about everything that has to do with a woman, a child, a husband, yes, because it's all our world entirely. Anyways, today we're talking about child marriage. We're talking about the pros, the cons, and of course we know we have lots of disadvantages when it comes to child marriage. But I will not be doing that alone. I have two amazing guests. They'll be joining me via Zoom, to talk about this. And do not forget, this program runs from 11 a.m. to 12 noon, and also you can watch us live on Facebook and on Twitter. Just type in Galaxy Television and you can watch all of our live programs live and direct. Of course, then also we have our app on Google Play Store and Apple Play Store, so you can just type in Galaxy TV, download our app, and you get to see us live. We're also on terrestrial TV, so you can actually tune your antenna to actually watch Galaxy Television. Okay, before I introduce my guest, usual ritual, we'll go on a short break, take a little pill just to relax, so before we get talking, because this is definitely going to be a very, very deep and interesting, also a very informative topic and discussion we're going to be having right after the short break. So let's go for the short break and we'll be right back to start talking. Alright, welcome back. Yes, okay, I'm going to start by introducing my Zoom guest. I'll first start with Gabriela. She's an engineer, a broadcast presenter. She's a life coach and a speaker. Can we have Gabriela on the screen? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
How are you doing this morning?
Very well, thank you. And you?
All right. Okay, and we also have Adeshola Bakare Adeosun. She's an entrepreneur. She's a personal development coach. She's a phonic and diction coach. She's the CEO of She's Made for More. Can we have Adeshola Bakare on the screen? Not available yet. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask. Let me ask you, Gabriela. When I talked about child marriage, a lot of people wanted to really, really be part of this conversation, because I have some persons that they just want to know the topics, they know the days they really, really need to look out for, and make people watch. And other persons were like, please, can I just have 5 minutes on the show to talk about this, because this is very, very important. Okay, first, when you hear child marriage, what is the first thing that comes to mind that is definitely what, of course we know is more in the northern part, but is what is more concerning for you? Once you hear child marriage, this is the first thing that comes to your mind that is you're so concerned and worried about.
So I said the first concern that comes to my mind when I hear child marriage is the kind of children that are produced from those marriages. Did you get that?
Okay, that's your concern. The kind of what kind of children do they produce in this marriage? Because I want you to explain.
Okay, so to explain it. Okay, so of course there are very many concerns. There is the concern of a young girl is not up to marriageable age, has been sent forth to be married. But of course you asked the major concern that I have. So there are many other concerns, but the one that I can't seem to wrap my head around the most is the fact that so the young girl has been sent into marriage and she's going to produce other children. Who brings up these other children? So you have a child bringing up a child, and it just, for me, what I see there is the fact that we're thinking of how we can make more and more children turn out to be better adults. But child marriage, it's like a challenge to that goal, because as a teens coach as well, that's one of my concerns, that to be able to get teenagers to become better adults, to turn them out into being better adults. And then child marriage is like so you know when you see something that's a potential problem for you, so not a problem with the person that is even being married, but the fact that this person is going to produce other children, and then you have a child bringing up a child. Okay, so how does the young girl, how does she even know what values to instill in that child when she is a child herself? Do you understand where my own worry is coming from now?
Okay, all right. Thank you for that one. So, definitely, we know it's concerned the children and the pattern and everything. So, how does child marriage differ from traditional or arranged marriage? Like, yes, a lot of people believe when you're doing traditional marriage, like if you grow up in the typical village, not even the north now, you might not want, they might not, your parents might not want you to even wait to the age of 20, 21. You even see some 13, 14, they're already pushing you on a man, go and meet uncle. They know what's up, but they are just doing it. Now, what's the difference between a child marriage, a traditional marriage, which we do in the villages? Of course, I know it's developing now, and the arranged marriage? Because let's we're taking it from the emotional part, and of course I think basically, in fact, all parts, because it's not just about the emotion. So what is the difference between these three: a child marriage, a traditional marriage, and of course an arranged marriage? What's the difference? What's the core difference between the three?
Okay, so a child marriage, simply put, is giving out a child who is less than the age of 18 to be married. A traditional marriage is the payment of a bride price or a dowry according to the customs of the people. An arranged marriage is the union of two people without them having to know themselves as say, or without them having to choose themselves as partners, but it's a situation where the families check out another partner from another family and says, okay, this person can be a suitable partner for this other person. Then the families come together to say, let's join them. And the two persons in an arranged marriage usually do not have much of a choice. So it is predetermined that then you have to go into it. So a child marriage, most of the time, is arranged. And depends on the scenario behind it. So a child marriage most of the time is arranged, and the dowry is paid according to the tradition of the people. That's how those three terms intertwine.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, since you've kind of differentiated it, for me, I would have always believed that a child marriage and an arranged marriage, not even a traditional marriage, basically, a child marriage and an arranged marriage are almost kind of similar. The only difference is just the age. But like you said, I will take it from the angle. So, what is the primary reason why you think in most African cultures they tend to allow their children get married rather? What do you think is the reason why a lot of people, a lot of parents tend to want to get their child married so early? Like you said, once it's before 18, that's a child marriage. Once you're 18 and above, based on our institutional law, 18 you can make decisions for yourself. Outside the country, you see some is 16 and thereabout, it varies. So why do you think parents always tend to always give their children out in marriage at a very tender age?
Okay, so to make it clear, it is not just parents who give out children to be married. Wards, relations who are custodians over children can give them out to be married. Now, I didn't even know that I was going to be having a speaking engagement like this. You know, you only informed me of this last week. But about 2 months ago, that was in July, my twins platform, I gave one of my teenagers she made a visit to the north. So I gave her a project to work on while she was there. And the project was for her to interview some girls who were teen married mothers. Yes, but they are not just teen mothers, but they are actually married, so they are teen married mothers. And from that investigative journalism she did, I mean, let me put it that way, I was able to find out that it's not just mothers or parents who give out their words to be married. Aunties and uncles of children that are left to their care. You see some families where the child is an orphan and they have to live with a relative. Those relatives give out those children to be married, and for very many reasons. Sometimes there are scenarios where the custodians, maybe the parents or uncles or aunties that the girl child is living with, find it difficult to feed. And of course, bearing in mind that they have other children to take care of, they find it hard to feed. So instead of leaving that girl child with them in the house, being a burden, they had rather send out that girl child to be married to one man. And sometimes they don't even look into the family that they are sending this girl to be married into. It could even be a man who is barely able to feed himself. They just send off the young girl to be married, to be able to relieve the family of that burden. They feel like, what's the point in keeping you here when we are trying to feed ourselves and we can't even send you to school? Like there was a case of one of the girls that was interviewed, and our own scenario was she was actually in Lagos schooling, but after her mother died, she had to go back to the village, and it was there in the village after a few couple of weeks. Let me say it wasn't more than 3 months. Let me just put a couple of weeks. She was married off by the auntie. So you see that sometimes these words don't even want to accept that burden because it's burdensome. Yes, it is to be able to take up another person's child. I'm going to be responsible for you, and so it's a whole lot. It's not just feeding now. You say, okay, you're going to be living with me, and she was just 13 then. And so you think of how, okay, so you'll be living with me for the next 4 or 5 years. How do I map out a life for you? What would you be doing? I don't have a farm for you to work on, so you can't even be in farm hands. You just be in my house, eating my food, and then I have to buy you clothes. And you're a girl child, it's not just going to be clothes. There has to be other things that come with it, like every month I have to think of your sanitary towel, and then you're a great bigger, and you have to get you panties and all of that. So to be able to take up that responsibility of a child, a lot of words don't want to do that. And even some parents, yes, parents who do that, they don't want to. I see it as selfishness, let me put it that way, because you brought a child into the world and you're not able to go the whole distance, the whole length to say that I'm going to let this child take up the burden to be responsible for you until you are of age, which is minimum at least the age of 18. So you send them up to be married so that they become another man's problem, they become another man's responsibility. That's selfishness, and because I would just call it selfishness, no matter what it is, even if it's the feeling of I don't want to be burdened by this child when I can just send you up to be married and start your own home and just be managing life with that man there. Just it's a way of transferring your responsibility to another person, and I just see it as selfishness, in my own opinion.
Hmm. Okay, thank you very much for that one. I just want to ask the question, while you were talking, a thought just came to my mind, like, is it possible that there are some children that actually just want to get married at a very early age? Is it possible that maybe, yes, it could be an environmental factor, it could be family factor, it could be anything, but do you think some children actually want to even get married at a very, why I'm saying this is because I've seen a young lady that said she actually wanted to get married at the age of I think 15 or 14. She was dating a man, and because the parents refused, imagine at that, well, she grew up in a rural area in her village, so she said she had to make sure that she got, because she knew in her village, once you get pregnant for a man, even if the man has 10 wives, you must join the queue. So he must definitely get married to you, because you can't give birth to the child out of wedlock. Now she got married to the person, she gave birth to 5 or 4 children. for the man. But when she got to the age of 20, 21, 22, she was enjoying the marriage. When she got to the age of 20, 21, 22, she realized that, oh, there is more to not just life, there is more to marriage. There is a lot of things that she has not even experienced in her marriage. Hers is just, all she knows is she cooks for her husband, she eats, her children eat. She doesn't even bother about schooling because her own is after secondary school, she's good. She does her business, and she realized a lot more. She has, you know, when you come to the age of young girls having a car, having their business, you know, being CEO, she was like, oh, I can actually achieve more and get all of these things, which also is part of what, like I said, the environment she is. But do you think a lot of children actually fall into this category of children that want to get married at an early stage? And if yes, what do you think is the key factor? I don't want so many reasons. The key factor why a child will be thinking about marriage and not her future. That's a girl child now.
Okay, so yes, there are girls who desire to be married at an early age, and that is because they have a, as my mother would say, a myopic view of life, and it all is intertwined with misplaced priorities. And so, you know, what you behold, you become. That's a statement that is so true. I learned that statement while back in my teenhood. What you behold, you become. So bringing that down to the environment, when a child grows up in an environment where all she sees is she sees fellow teenagers being married off to men, and the fact that, you know, when you get married, there's this respect that comes with it. You know, when you are married, there's a way people now begin to address you. There's a social status that comes with it, rural community or not. There is a social status that comes with being married, and an upgraded social status. So they see that, and all those things, they now look like a fizzy, and it makes sense to one. She's like, me, I can't even wait to get married as well, so that they'll be talking to me like this, and you know, that transition from being a young girl to being a married woman, and then all of a sudden they now wear certain attire, your outfit changes, and you know, sometimes that's why I said misplaced priority / myopic view of life. Where that's all they see, because based on that, that's all they see. And this one got pregnant, she married this man. This one got pregnant, she had to marry. Now she's in her own husband's house. And sometimes some parents actually say those kind of words to their children, like, see that your friend, how old is she? She's not even just 3 months before she was 15. She's already now in her own husband's house, and you are still here. So all those things means the whole world to them. It means the whole world because that is the world they can see. That is the world they've experienced. And so that is the only world they can design. But like that,
okay. Well, I love what you said. Myopic mind is a world that they've seen and they actually want to create for themselves. I like what you said, and I think that's just, like I said, it might be environmental factor, family factor, but I think basically it's the world that they see, and that closed environment. I'm sure if they were exposed, if they know so much, you understand. You know, sometimes people believe that when you're even in school, you're going to school, let's assume you're going to school in village. If that village is not exposed, if that rural environment is not exposed, you will still finish secondary school and hold your education. You won't even know that there is more to life. So I think it comes from the mind and, of course, what you see around you. We already have our second guest, Adeshola Bakare Adeosun. She's already with us. Can we see her? Good morning, Adeshola. Good morning. Can you hear us? How are you doing this morning?
Oh, apologies.
Okay, like, you know, we're talking about child marriage, so I'm just going to go to it. I don't need to start asking what child marriage is because we already know what child marriage, but I'm just going to ask, what do you think are the main consequences of having children get married at an early stage? While you're answering that, impute just 1 or 2 reasons why you might think cultural or traditional, how will I put it, the way cultural traditional order is one of the reasons why we have child marriage in this our time.
Okay, can you please ask the second question again? The first question is the consequences of child marriage, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the second question.
Then the second question is, what role does culture or tradition, plays in the rampant increase, let me use increase, the increase in child marriage? What role do you think culture has always played in child marriage?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I don't know if I can change position because I don't know. Can you see my face?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
All right, thank
I
you.
can hear you now. Go on.
Okay, so I said one of the consequences of child marriage is the health risk. Can you hear me? Oh.
Please go on. I can hear you. If I can't hear you, I won't respond.
Okay, thank you. So the health risk, children giving out, as children, as brides, they are prone to health risk. One of them is STDs, sexual transmitted diseases, and sometimes, in fact, oftentimes HIV. Okay, because they don't have the right knowledge, especially about having a safe sex. And secondly, I can also say malnutrition, and some of these children are dependent, especially on the husband, because as children, they cannot even make the right decisions for themselves. So, the consequences are numerous. Talk about the psychological effect it has on them. Talk about their mental health. Sometimes some of these children even fall into depression. Depression cannot be avoided in this case because it's like they are being forced to become adults even when they are not prepared for it. So these are some of those consequences. And I would say that the culture, well, I know that for some culture, it happens because of the kind of mentality, or let me say the practices they've been having, the practices of the forefathers, or because it has been working since then, they believe it is something that we have to keep doing. So it's just like a kind of mentality, because sometimes it's very difficult for people to change all of these practices. They tell you, oh, it is what we have been practicing before you were given birth, or some people will say even before your forefathers, and they don't tend to change it. They don't. It's very difficult for people to change their culture, their practices. So I believe that is why some people, even when some people in the same culture or the same environment understand that it's not a good thing to do, but because it is an established practice in or of that culture, some people don't just want to take, they don't want to conform to the change, or let me say changes happening in the world right now.
Okay, thank you very much. So I just want to ask, have you had someone or know someone or heard about someone that has been affected by child marriage? If you have, can you share a little bit of story so people can learn from, because while we are talking, yeah, some people actually learn from people's experiences, and if you share other people's experiences, they get to learn. Sometimes they just believe, okay, we might just be talking. So do you have someone close to you or someone you know that has been affected by child marriage, and how did the person get to overcome all the I don't know, the challenge, probably the stigmatization, the realization of the wrong that she had been into as a child, and now she's out of it? In just like 2 minutes, if you have any, please share.
Thank you. Okay, I do not really have anyone close to me, so close to me. The only one I have that is quite close to me. She's not a child, but of course, from her experience and the things that she shared, I think she got married at age 20. She's an adult already. So, if an adult, she shared with me that the pressure, the society expecting so much from you, especially when you become a young mother. So she fell into depression. She was forced to become a mother at that tender age. So I then thought, if a lady of 20 years, could go through depression, could go through, in fact, stigmatization, I must say, because people will always talk. They have things to say often, like, oh, she got married, and she actually got married the proper way, formal wedding. And the stigmatization that she got married or because she's pregnant and all of these things, she told me about the things she had to go through, the what is it called now? Postnatal depression, especially. You understand, not knowing how to take care of your child and everything. But of course, she said that she had to develop herself. She helped herself through. She started reading. She didn't give up on herself. That's some of the ways that she was able to pull out of, the consequences of being a mother at that early age. So she started reading, she started developing herself. She kept using words of affirmation, telling herself she's not going to give up because that is not the end of her career ambitions and all of that. So I believe that if people would use all of these things because it really works, don't give up as young mothers. It's not the end. As long as you're still living, there is so much ahead of you. You can still do so much more if you don't give up on yourself, and if you keep your head above the water. Don't look at what people are saying. Don't focus on what the society or the world has to say. Just keep pushing yourself and become the best that you can be. So that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you very much for that one. That experience is something people need to share. It's deeper than we think. We just think it's just about getting married at any time. You said something. There's a part of pregnancy. I've seen a lot of trending videos of young girls who are not even up to 16 or probably they're 16. That they didn't even get married. They got pregnant, and of course there's the pressure and all of that. Some have been excuse me. Some have been disowned by their parents. Some have to go and stay with their grandmom or stay with an auntie that sympathized with her situation, give birth to the child. Now you now find out that such children, they protect such children, but still on the long run you find out that those children, they don't even get the exact the kind of training or the kind of proper love that they should even get from the mom, because at that point maybe the mom is growing up and realizing that you've taken so much from me. I wish I didn't have to do that. So like you said, it's a whole lot. It's not just about that. Then talk about the depression you talked about. It could cause depression if the child is not properly taken care of. It's another thing entirely. I just want to ask Gabriel last question before we go. Gabriela, this is what's for you. What advice will you convey to women and to people, not just only women, to people out there that would tell them or advise them on the consequences of child marriage, and how should they go about this even when they see that they're about to do something like that, or their neighbor is about to do something like that, or someone they know somewhere wants to do something like that, and it's something that should be a no-no in our society at large?
Okay, so from the conversation we have had so far, and I'm sure that our audience have been able to pick one or two or three things that are convincing enough for them to know that child marriage is not the best. Now, my advice to women is for us to learn to build and provide support systems to each other. Now, a parent who wants to give out their child to be married, I'm sure that there are some families that will be happy doing that, yes, because they believe that that is the culture, that is how it should be done. But if you happen to be around another woman, another mother, another auntie who wants to give out her young child or niece or cousin out to be married at age 13, 14, 15 as a young teenager, less than 18, my advice is for women to be a support system to that person. Find out what really is the reason why that person wants to do that. It may be that raising of that child will be too burdensome for them. That's why I said be a support system to them. Help out how you can. If you have to, maybe seek help from an NGO or from a religious organization. Seek help from them, and don't just cast off that child as a way of relieving your burden. That is to those who are doing it as a reason that they cannot take care of that child. Maybe you had their sister's late child or late sister's child rather. Let's provide support system for each other. Provide counsel where you can and seek help. There are NGOs out there that are willing to help you. And if you cannot even speak to that woman, you can always be an anonymous reporter and just go to an NGO nearby and just speak to them. And I'm sure that they will be willing to come and rescue that young child and provide support for her before she's of age. You can check around with your community and you'll be able to find NGOs around you that are into such humanitarian works to be able to help out that girl. That's my advice.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I hope all women are listening to this. It's so sad that sometimes, even despite, while you were talking, I was like, okay, how about the people that, where we know this is more rampant is in the north? First is they don't even want to talk about the education deeply. Yes, we have a lot of Northerners who are well educated, well grounded, and you even see them, they grow to the proper age before they get married. So it is the ones that refuse to be educated, the ones that do not want to be educated, or the ones that even feel that even a girl child should not be educated. Those are the ones that put, in fact, we all know that sometimes as they give birth to them, the person that wants to get married to them start paying for feeding, to their words, to everything, till they get to a particular age of 12, 13, and they come and they get married, just by having so many wives. And before you know, you have too many children running. In fact, anyways, let me ask, before we go, let me ask Bakare Adeshola this last question. What is it now? We've spoken to the women, to the adults. Now let's talk to the children. Of course, the children should know their left from their right. So I want to ask you, what advice, you have to bring it in a very simple term, what advice will you give to the young ones, the ones who are still in school, the ones are planning to go into university? What advice will you give to them when it comes to child marriage? And of course, not getting it wrongly. When I mean wrongly is having unwanted pregnancy. When it's unwanted is when you did not plan for it. Do you understand? So it could be you could get pregnant and later on the man gets married to you, or because of everything, the man is responsible, he wants to take responsibility for it. But I think it's still an unwanted pregnancy. It is not the right way, like every parent would want it to be. So what advice will you give to children in the most simple term? And please let that be in 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would advise children. Right now, there are stages in life, right? And if you tend to jump the stage, if you want to jump the ladder, they should be ready to take the consequences which we have listed earlier. So I would advise them to always pay attention to the counsel they get from their parents, the right counsel, man. I would also advise them to focus, because at this age of third, their priority should be their education and how to, build a life, their ambition. So that should be their focus at this age of life. So they should focus on education. They should focus on building their ambition, who they want to be when they grow older. And I would also say that they should also have mentors. Yes, if they don't know how to go about it, there are several NGOs that can help them too. It's one of the things that she's made for more, we do for young people, children especially, and teenagers. They should seek counsel. Sometimes, so many things are happening in the world, and some people, just want to take advantage of them. And if this happens, because sometimes talking about unwanted pregnancy, it is not even something that they want to do. It could be as a result of rape. So if there is anything going on in their life that they know that is not right, they should seek counsel, go to the right portal, reach out to NGOs, be open to their parents especially, let them know what is going on in their life. So these are the things, these are the advice that I would give to them. Let them focus on their education, one. Let them also focus on building their ambition and dreams, and also reach out, talk to their parents, reach out to people who can give them the right counsel that they need to help them through life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that one. I really do appreciate. I love what you gave your advice, and I love the one Gabriela gave to women. In fact, I will call it exclusively for women, and yours is very important. One thing I learned from yours is that you said even a child should have a mentor. And please, when we're talking about mentor, we're not talking about social media mentors. Not those ones you see, because most of the things you see on social media, I'll keep saying it, they are not the reality. When you see the reality, you understand that there's a difference between that reality that they tell you it is on social media, and it's so different from their reality in real life. You see some of them, they are all jolly, all happy, or looking all calm and peaceful, and the moment they're outside, you just see somebody else entirely. So you just have to pick the right mentor. You talk to your parents, like Adeshola said. And for women too need to be aware. If you need NGOs, there are a lot of NGOs that would help you, help you cater for your child, and also you can also boost yourself by being a businesswoman to do it rightly. Anyway, I want to appreciate Gabriela, and Adeshola Bakare Adeosun for being on the show. It's been an amazing one. Can we have the two of them on the screen? You can take me out of the screen. I'm fine. You can just put the two of them. It's a normal ritual for us to wave us. Okay, Gabriela is already doing that. She knows that. Okay, thank you very much. Bye. Thank you so much for joining.